The Gospel of John, chapter 14, Jesus says this to his disciples: "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful." Jesus says, "I'm giving you my peace." The context is just before the crucifixion. Jesus has gathered his disciples with him. He warns them about some of the things that are about to happen, which they had no expectation of. He troubles them by what he says when he speaks of death, of hostility, of rejection. And in the midst of all that, he says, don't worry. Don't be afraid. I'm going to give you peace. Even when you don't understand what's happening, you don't like it, you may suffer through it. Nonetheless, hold steady. I'm giving you my peace. Well, they went through that period of time. They had no anticipation of that ever being the end result of Jesus' ministry. They had crowds and there were healings and people were really excited about Jesus. But now it all turned around and he dies on the cross. After his resurrection, he sends them out to the world saying, I'm giving you a commission to take the gospel, to take good news to everyone everywhere and tell them that I am the risen Lord. Again, he tells them they'll face difficulties. There will be rejection. There'll be places where they're not accepted and even persecuted, maybe dying. But again, the promise is, you've got my peace. I'm giving it to you. Don't be afraid. Don't run from it. Just do the job. Peace. Jesus promises us peace. I want to approach it from a particular angle as I think about what that means to me and to you. And I'll put it this way. Peace is found by living in the center, not on the circumference. Now, I've got to unpack that a little bit so you get what I'm trying to say. If you ever went on a merry-go-round, on the children's playground, a fairly large one, if that thing starts to spin around and around, for the children, it's a lot of fun. For me, it's getting dizzy and getting sick. If you get on the merry-go-round as it spins, the further you go to the edge of it, when you get on the circumference, the faster will be your pace. You'll be flying around, the dust will be whirling, and for children, they just think it's fantastic. For me, I want to get into the center of the merry-go-round if I can't get off. And if I get into the center, things slow down. I can look out. I'm not hanging on for dear life. I can relax. Just sit back and let the thing go around and around and around. I'm calm. I'm not worried about losing my grip. I'm not going to get sick. In life, we often get on a merry-go-round. Everything gets chaotic. It feels like it's a rat race, we say. We're swirling this way, and then this is going on, and pressure is upon us, and the centrifugal force makes us feel like we're going to slip off the edge at any moment. Peace is not found on the circumference or on the edge. Peace is found by getting into the center. Another way of looking at it would be to think of going in a boat. As maritimers, I'm sure most of us have sooner or later been on some type of a vessel. And if it's a lot of waves out there, a lot of wind, you'll notice that the bow goes up a long ways as the stern goes down, and then it reverses and down and up. The place I like to be is midships. I like to be where there's least up and down. You're sort of in the middle of it all, and let the rest rock and roll as the waves come through. The center where you can find calmness. So Jesus says, I'm the center. I want to be the center of your life. Whatever circumstance you're in, I want you to live in me, in the center. It doesn't mean that things are now no problem, no difficulty, no struggle. It just means that you're not living on the edge of the struggle. You're living in the center where Jesus says, I can help you. I will take control of the whole thing, but get in the center where I'm in command, and rest in me as the whole world spins round and round. On the circumference of our lives, there are battles, struggles. I think of what we're going through right now. It's a difficult time. We're worried about disease and what we might catch. We're watching political conflict taking place and emotional strain on a lot of people. It seems to me that violence is increasing, kind of petty stuff, but very serious consequences. It's like everybody's uptight. We're tired of it. We want to have this whole thing slowed down. We want to get back on track again. But instead, we're hanging on for dear life as we go round and round and round. What's the solution? We tend to take our prayers and focus them on the edge. You ever notice that? Lord, do you understand what I'm going through? Stop this thing. Get rid of the storm for me. Lord, I'm sick. Heal me. Lord, I've got problems with neighbors. Bring peace to us somehow or other by making them see it my way. Lord, take my children who are wayward and help them to see that they really need to listen to me. Father in heaven, stop the momentum. Stop this circuit I'm going through. Stop the dust, the wind. I'm hanging on for dear life. Please slow it down at least. And God doesn't always slow it down. I think what he might be saying is, get in the center. Stop hanging on to the circumference. You notice the early church, when they were out ministering, in the book of Acts, it tells us of one persecution in particular, that they gathered for prayer afterwards. They had death threats on them. And it's interesting that in their prayer, they did not pray about the circumference of the persecution. By that I mean, they did not say, God, stop the persecution. Deal with our enemies. Remove them. Give us a place of peace. Instead, they said, God, give us courage to do your will. They just left the circumference to God. They got into the center and said, what is the will of God? And it was to proclaim the gospel, come what may. You see, peace is something that happens in here, not out there. And that's what Jesus is talking about when he says, don't be afraid. Don't panic. Stay calm. I'm giving you peace. Well, then why does he say don't be afraid? Because there actually is something that would cause fear. You may have a storm you're going through. I went through Quebec once and they had tornado watch out. That was rather nerve-wracking to me as I saw the dark clouds form along the St. Lawrence River. And then we hit a real dark place and all of a sudden sheets of rain. All the traffic stopped on the highway. We were bumper to bumper stopped. And I was watching the rain go horizontally across my car. I didn't get out to check to see if the headlights were wet. I figured the best thing to do was to stay in the car. It rocked, it swayed, but we got through it. It wasn't a tornado, but it was as close as I ever want to get to one. When that happens, they always say shelter. Get into a place of security. Stay in your car if you're on the highway and wait it out. And Jesus is saying, do my will. Obey me. Put me in the center of your life, and I will be in the center of your storm. Don't go to the circumference and focus your attention there. It will create fear, confusion, bewilderment. You will get so frustrated because you can't solve it. Just look to Jesus and let him be your center. The peace he gives holds us together when everything else is falling apart. When we're watching pieces of our life fly off in different directions, in the center, Jesus says, peace, be still. He holds us together when everything else is falling down. He helps us to see when everything is turning into darkness. We have values we can hang on to when everyone else doesn't know what to believe in anymore. And we believe in God, that he has a purpose in the midst of this storm. We don't know what it is necessarily yet, but by staying in the center, we let God handle the planning on the edge. And eventually, ultimately, he brings it all to where he wants it. Jesus is at the center. and that's where you'll find peace. So what's your storm today? What's hit you lately? Something personal, family-wise, community-wise? Are you going through something right now and you just have no idea what to do? Are you focusing all your attention on the edge, wondering how to solve it? It's really not the place to focus. It won't help. There are some things we have to just live through them. Do what you have to do, of course. But there are things that we can't do anything about. And that's when we need to get back into Jesus. Understand that the storms come and then they go. A storm means an awful lot to us. It frightens us. But storms don't really matter much to God. He's in control. He's above it. What really does matter to God is you in the middle of your storm. God will take care of the storm in due time, but he wants you to find your peace in him while the storm rages. So stick to the center. Don't be afraid. It might be pretty rough, but Jesus is at the center and bringing you peace.